Batman Assault on Arkham is extremely offensive and disturbing, but I still kind of liked it. Yes, I was pleasantly surprised by this film, and I realize I'm late to the party, but the reason I watched it is because during my 24 hours of Ask Me Anything over on Twitter to celebrate reaching 10,000 followers, thank you very much, one of you said, "Grace, are you going to review Batman Assault on Arkham?" And I was like, you know what? I'll watch it tonight. And I did! And as I said, I had a good time. There are a couple of things that really struck me about it, which I want to talk about in terms of the generalities of the film before really getting into spoiler territory. I'm going to address each character, each of the main characters. So to start with, I was really surprised at how influential the video games have become in DC entertainment. It used to be Batman the Animated Series, so you're going to see a lot of comparisons between the two here, the video games and what Paul Dini and Bruce Timm did. And I think that's because again, it's what's influencing the comics and the movies as a whole. And while it used to be the animated series, now, as I said, it's the video games. As you might recall, when those Batman leaked set photos came out for the Batmobile, everybody was like, hey, it looks like the Arkham Knight version of the Batmobile. So you're seeing some video game influence there. And it's really on display here, from the logo of the movie to the way the characters not only look, but how they act. And also, Troy Baker does the voice of the Joker. He's very, very good. I'll discuss him more when I get to the character spoiler portion of this review. But I do want to say that they had like a certain group in the credits that were kind of like the prestige actors, Kevin Conroy, Neil McDonough, who does the voice of Deadshot, etc. But Troy Baker wasn't included in kind of like the premium cast members. And I thought that was pretty offensive because he does such a great job with the video games, and also he allows them to continue to make the Joker so enigmatic and popular and charming, even though Mark Hamill apparently doesn't want to continue with the role. Because you have Kevin Conroy here, but you might think, oh, well, that's only half of the equation, right? I'd say no, because Troy Baker steps into Hamill's shoes quite nicely. So I think you really deserve to be in that top group with the credits. So you have Troy Baker. Then also, a lot of the presentation was like a video game. For instance, at the big fight at Arkham Asylum, Poison Ivy, when she shows up, she seems like almost like a boss level villain to fight, the way she's presented. You know, she's in the back, she's in the distance, you're like, oh, I gotta get to her. That's how I'm gonna end this level. So I thought that was very interesting. That really struck me a lot. Then the other thing is that there was a lot of fighting, a lot of fight sequences, which were very well done, by the way. They seemed very realistic, and they reminded me of a live action movie. And it was just nice to see Batman being a good fighter. That's a side of him we don't usually get to see, and you'd have to be, right, to be so successful as a vigilante. And it's something we didn't see in the animated series, and we don't even really see it in the movies when you come to think of it. Maybe because it's hard for them to do that kind of fight choreography with the bat suit in real life, who knows? But they would be wise to add that. I mean, if there's one thing Nolan's films were missing, and I think a lot of people feel this way, it's Batman as a detective on the one hand, but also I think as a fighter. And if anyone can deliver Batman as a fighter, it's Zack Snyder. So anyway, back to Batman Assault on Arkham, I really appreciated seeing this side of Batman and being reminded that it exists. However, on the flip side, the animated series had a really great depth of character and storytelling, a sophistication to it that's not on display here. And so, of course, the ideal situation would be to combine the two, the action and the storytelling. And that, of course, is what the movies are supposed to do. So we'll see if they're able to achieve that as the DC Cinematic Universe marches on. But this film, this was just a fun ride. Very little character development, and it was a very adult ride. And by the way, has Game of Thrones taught us nothing? If you're going to have nudity, or even implied nudity, you have to be equal opportunity. There has to be something for everyone. And I know that Deadshot showed up in his underwear, but it was very conservative underwear, while the two female characters spent a good portion of the movie topless. So this, again, is adult material. So it's not something that I think anyone I guess if you're reading comic books, it's okay. It's the same, same kind of level of maturity, I guess you could say, is what's necessary. So, as I said, I enjoyed it quite a bit, despite its dark and disturbing moments, and maybe even a little bit because of them, because I think they were well handled. The script was quite good. A lot of the lines, particularly for Joker and Harley, were very good. There's even like an STD joke, I believe, with that. I don't want to give anything away because we're not in the spoiler territory yet, but I was like, I can't believe you went there, but at least you nailed it. And I guess that's a pun too. All right, so let's move into the spoiler territory. Oh, before I do that, I just want to touch really quickly on Sinister Six. When I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, hey, is this what a Sinister Six movie would be like? And I thought maybe it would be, if you want to keep them villains. But then again, while I think that Batman Assault on Arkham is quite enjoyable to the target demographic, and that's comic book readers like myself and probably you, I don't know if it can really cross over to the mainstream being as dark and disturbing as it is, especially if you're expected to root for these people. I don't see that happening. I don't see Batman Assault on Arkham becoming some huge title, and probably not as Batman the Animated Series not being recognized on the same level because it's just not as accessible. And I think Sinister Six is going to have that same problem without turning them all into anti-heroes, which this, respectfully, you have to give it up for Batman Assault on Arkham. It didn't do that with its characters here. All right, so let's go into the characters. You have to start with Harley Quinn, who's becoming quite the star. I was very surprised that when the animated movie started, when they had the DC logo and, the new thing allows them when they peel back the D to reveal the C, to put a character in there. And they picked Harley, and she's of course been very popular in the video games, and I'm starting, I have to say they're wearing me down between the video games, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor's Harley Quinn title. They're starting to win me over to this new Harley. That said, though, I really would like to see her become a little bit more of a leader or just a little bit more of her own game plan. She's still largely presented as the girlfriend. Not so much in the comic right now, but here, for instance, she just goes back and forth between guys. Effectively so, and that's where the character started. But if she's going to go in this direction and this more violent direction, I think she has to own it. And by owning it, it has to be largely sometimes her idea, which that does do here. I liked it very much so that, for instance, how she secretly freed the Joker. I thought that was classic Harley. I really liked that a lot, and it showed that she does have an intellectual background. But then I thought they did a great job also with her liking, for instance, the electroshock therapy. I thought that was great. I thought they did a great job of mixing in her history with Arkham as the psychiatrist there. And Hynden Walsh, I think that's how you pronounce her name, who did the voice, did a very nice job. And I also liked how they tied her in with the Joker, and they both said Yahtzee. That was a really nice moment. They established her for a while saying it, but I thought it was great when they had the Joker say it later on in the movie, and you were like, they really are a pair. I thought that was really, really good. What I didn't like, though, the one moment that rang false to me was when she bit off the ear of that attendant in the opening credits. I thought it was too much. I thought it made the character unlikable at first, which I thought, never a good idea. And then also, that person wasn't a villain or anything. There was a lot of violence against innocence here, and I think that's a fine line. And the movie got away with it. But moments like that, it was a close call, because that person was just enforcing the rules. You're not supposed to be on your Game Boy or whatever you're playing, Harley, in the correctional facility or the rehabilitation center. So I don't think that woman deserved what Harley dished out. So that was not great. But I think the character recovered quite nicely through the rest of the movie, so it didn't bother me. So I liked that a lot. I thought that was very good. So with all this attention that Harley's getting and the way the character's developing, I really do feel that maybe we'll see her in a movie or a television show. I don't want her to go to TV. I want her to go to the movies. I think she's a really great character. I think she's very, very powerful, very symbolic, very iconic, I guess is the right word. And I think she deserves the big screen treatment. Who could play her? Oh, that's going to be really tough. But really great character. And I'm, as I said, coming around to this version of her. All right, the Joker, Troy Baker. Great job. Very, very good job. Really good being like Mark Hamill, but yet owning it himself. I thought the Joker was portrayed excellently here. I love the way he walked around Arkham. He was truly terrifying. When he was just walking around the facility, I was like, that's actually scary. And he's very dangerous. The Joker wasn't watered down here, which I think is some of our favorite Joker moments. Because, we talk all the time about the movies having watered down villains that aren't really that evil, aren't really that dangerous, and sometimes, or actually most of the time, aren't even competent. That was not the case here. Joker was truly something to be feared. And I just like the way they handled the different sides of the character's personality. Sometimes he likes Harley, sometimes he doesn't. How he really is only looking out for number one. And I thought the Joker lines here, as I said, were really, really good. So I like that character quite a bit. Then also Batman. Let's go over to Batman. The one thing I didn't get here is that when he was pretending to be Black Spider, and I'll get to that when we talk about Black Spider next, he really stood by while a lot of good men were killed. men and women at the facility. And I didn't really think that Batman would do that. I mean, I know it was necessary for the mission, but that to me, that was one of the times when I think the video game logic that's obviously apparent being used here was a bad idea. You know, just because, or we have to get from point A to point B and don't mess it up with thinking too much. But I think with Batman, you know, he's nothing if not for his moral principles. I mean, I think his self-discipline is a big part of why he's not only such an effective vigilante, but why he's so admired. So to have him backtrack on that, I thought was a bad idea. Now, is there really anything else for Batman to do? Not really, although who else didn't know he was Black Spider when he came out of that building? I was like, that's Batman. These villains are so dumb. This isn't supposed to be their first rodeo. But anyway, he's not the main character here. He's not supposed to have any development. And I think he was used effectively, from the villain's point of view. This is how they would see him. They wouldn't have a lot of character building because they don't stick around. They want to get out of there and not be apprehended. So that was the one thing, though, him not saving those people. Then Black Spider, not a big character, really only existed for Batman to, take over. And I would have liked to have seen it actually draw on the character of Nobody that they had over in Batman and Robin, the villain that Damian ends up killing from Batman's past. That was a really great character, and it had the spider motif, and it was, a black character. And I would think that would have been a great, way to maybe tie that in. But at the same time, I think they didn't have time to tell that story. That would have been something maybe the Batman the Animated Series would have done. But then why use Black Spider? Also, I have to say, what is it with black characters in comics having black in their name? I know there's been quite a lot of stuff said about comedy routines and such about Black Lightning, but then you have Black Manta, you have Black Spider here. It's just, it gets a little bit ridiculous. So I was thinking, why can't he just be called Spider? And he really was a little bit of a Batman-like character, but again, really nothing for him to do. So that's what he was there for. All right, Deadshot. I liked Deadshot here. I really did like Deadshot in the Suicide Squad run that Gail Simone wrote, and he was used, I think, pretty good at the beginning of the current Suicide Squad, where they had introduced this idea of him and Harley hooking up. I think he's a good choice for Harley because I like it when he's like, you know what? Why not? I mean, he's a man on death row, right? He's walking dead. So why not have some fun with Harley? Things can't get any worse, can they? Although maybe some people could argue. I did like the jealousy between the Joker and Deadshot. I thought they both handled it really well and in character, while staying in character. They weren't reduced to fighting over a woman. They did it Deadshot and Joker style. So I like that quite a bit. And so I thought Deadshot was very well done. I thought Neil McDonough did a great job with the voice. On one hand, though, I knew it was Neil McDonough. His voice is very recognizable. It took me about a second to place it, but then I was like, oh, hey, it's Neil McDonough. So I thought, what's Dum Dum Dugan doing in this movie? But I thought he had a good voice quality for Deadshot, and I thought the character was a good leader for the team. I liked him very much so. And I loved the end shot where he has a bead on Waller with his daughter there on the rooftop. I mean, he was a character, he was a villain you were able to still root for. So I liked him quite a bit. Then Waller. Speaking of Waller, this was old school Waller, not the thin supermodel-y version they have now. I'm torn as to which one I like better. I would love to see maybe somewhere in the middle, like a realistic portrayal of Amanda Waller, like Viola Davis on this How to Get Away with Murder show that's coming up. Maybe that would be a good way to go with the character. But very well done here. Same voice from the animated series. CCH Pounder, I believe, is the actress's name. But, I like how effective the character is. And I like putting her at the same level as Lex Luthor and Batman and Superman, etc., in terms of, the people who decide what happens behind the scenes. And I like the reference to Checkmate as well. Because, she does have immunity to some degrees by being an agent of the United States government. And I liked the line at the end that she had, what can I say? I break a lot of eggs to make an omelet. And I thought that was great. I mean, she did get done what she wanted to do. So I like that quite a bit, and I thought her character was very well realized. Also, I have to touch on the KG Beast. I'm glad she got to blow somebody up because, I hate it when they have these situations where they introduce an element and then don't use it because their hands are tied because of a rating or trying to appeal to a wider audience. I mean, if you're going to put it in there at all, you have to utilize it. And with KG Beast, when he was going to walk over the line, I was like, you're going to die, KG Beast, because nobody really cares about your character. You should know that you're not even second string, you're third string. So I thought that was funny as well. Killer Frost. Didn't love the character. I liked her look. But she really didn't have anything to do besides her creepy flirtation with King Shark, which I thought was weird. But also, I think the thing that bothered me most about her was that she never really used her power. I was like, why are you doing all this flipping and kicking and punching when you have ice powers? I mean, I guess it allowed her to utilize Mr. Freeze's gun at the end there because she could activate it, but at the same time, I wasn't really feeling it. Also, I don't understand how she was able to carry that gun at any point, even after King Shark kind of allowed her to catch her balance with it. I mean, if it was too heavy, it was too heavy. And also, again, she was just kind of there to be like topless and really inappropriate and just, eye candy. So I think that character was a wasted opportunity because, as I said, I like the character design, but she didn't use her powers and she didn't have anything to do. Then I guess I'll talk about, I didn't have him written down here, the Riddler. Riddler, I don't like the Riddler. I've never liked the Riddler in any form of entertainment. I think he's not a great character. I think he's a little lame. And I think he never really, he can never fight. He never really has any traps. He just asks you a lot of questions. And it's always, you talked for too long, Riddler. And he's like, damn it, but that's my thing. But I do respect the fact that he does have a lot of fans. So I hope that you enjoyed his portrayal here. And I guess it was great the way he tied into being in the Suicide Squad and being able to disable their devices in their necks. I thought that was good. All right, next is King Shark, who Killer Frost was flirting with. I was like, King Shark, do you really think this is going to happen? Use what's left of your brain. That character, I think he was there to deliver the adult aspects of the movie, and not just the flirtation. He did a lot of killing, and I liked the tank aspect. I thought that was kind of cool the way they worked together there, and Killer Frost guided him. Although I'm surprised nobody shot her when she kept poking her head up to tell him where to go. I don't know why she just couldn't have shouted it from behind, been like to the left, to the right. But King Shark, again, kind of like KG Beast and Black Spider, he was there to do what was necessary to get done, not really to be a memorable character. And also to have his head very memorably blown off. That was very well animated. I was like, whoa, all right. Then the Boomerang, Captain Boomerang. Captain Boomerang, again, kind of like the Riddler. I thought that his competition with Deadshot was well handled. And again, you needed another body there. And I think he was a little bit of a wild card. You didn't know what he was going to do. And I think it was good the way, they distracted you with Boomerang and Deadshot's fight for the helicopter so that you didn't see Joker and Harley coming on there. I thought that was very clever. So, he served his purpose as well. The Rogues overall, the way they were portrayed in Arkham when they had the big fight, I thought everybody looked great. Although, did they kill Two-Face? I don't think he could come back from having his head frozen like that. But I liked Two-Face's look. I thought the Harvey Dent side was very compelling. It looked interesting, even though it wasn't the damaged side of his face. I thought Bane, very cool. I like that they showed how small he was when he didn't have the serum coursing through his veins. It was very super soldier serum to some degree. I thought that was very good. I thought Poison Ivy, also well utilized. I like the zombie aspect. I'm guessing that comes from the video games. I don't play the video games, but I like that as well. And I just thought they did a nice job with the Batman villains and really underscoring why they continue to be the best villains. Also, Arkham Asylum. Love the design of Arkham Asylum, just from the gate alone. The gate was so cool looking with those two ghostly female figures holding up those lanterns. And also the way they did it. They did a really nice job setting up the security system and just the layout of Arkham. I mean, it really did feel like a break-in job. There was that kind of detail there. So the detail might not have been in the story, but there was detail in the way Arkham operated. And I thought that was really well done as well. Very realistic. I liked it. And it just seemed like an impressive facility that was able to get its job done, but also be the iconic Arkham Asylum that it needs to be. So that's my review. I just want to make sure I covered everything. It's a fun adult ride. Don't expect anything too deep from it. Be prepared for a lot of sex and violence. And I think it was a good representation of the Suicide Squad. And I think this was whatever the creative team was here. I wonder how much the video game people were involved. But I think this is it's nice to see DC Animation going back in the right direction. All right, so I would really like to hear what you think of Batman Assault on Arkham. What do you think of video games becoming so influential in DC entertainment overall? Do you think they're a good choice, or do you wish they would stick with Batman the Animated Series? And what did you think of all the different characters? And do you think Harley, are you coming around on Harley as well, this new Harley? And do you want to see Harley go to movies or TV? I know they almost put her on Arrow, and they pulled her off at the last minute. I'm curious, we're getting closer and closer, but I'm curious where you'd like to see her pop up. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and you can check out some other episodes right now.